Hi, my name is Shyam Karthik. I'm a computer science graduate student at the University of Sydney with prior experience shipping production systems at Bank of America and working on AI systems in healthcare and security context. For the Heidi entry program, I had chosen Growth AI Enablement Project. So the task was to choose one growth function and make it at least 10 times faster or more effective. So I wanted to build something that is real and demonstrable. So I built Heidi Autopilot. So the growth function that I had chosen was lifecycle activation, and you can think it of as an internal AI-enabled growth tool that takes raw Hades-style event logs and produces deploy-ready lifecycle campaigns in minutes instead of hours. So I'll walk through the working prototype, the before and after impact, and how this would realistically be adopted by the growth team. So the brief asks for four things: a working prototype, a clear before after comparison, a short demo or walkthrough, and an explanation of how this would be adopted by the team. So I'll make sure to hit all four in this walkthrough. So I developed this website with agentic AI integration, Python and JavaScript. So you can think it of as a internal growth console. So on the left, I upload event logs, I choose the goal, and I choose the wedge. On the right, the system shows what it detected, what the flow it generated, the copy variants, the QA checks, and finally the deployment ready JSON. So to give a better walkthrough, I'm going to upload Hades style event log that I generated. It includes events like sign up, email verification, consult creation, note finalization, follow up due, etc. This is important because this tool is grounded in healthcare workflow events and it's not just another generic software as a service churn. So the dataset the log file that I generated contains five columns: user ID, clinic ID, role, event name, and timestamp. And it contains around 17,000 logs. So let's go ahead and give it a spin. So I'm uploading the Heidi events. It's uploaded. Yeah, it's uploaded and it contains 17,000 rows and five columns as I showed. I'm going to keep the goal as activation. I'm going to keep it same and wedge. So I'm going to keep the wedge as no first consult created within 48 hours. So according to me, the wedge is high leverage because it sits right at the activation bottleneck. And before it generate the autopilot flow, I wanted to show the different adoption modes. So there are three modes: shadow, assisted, and auto. So this is how I you roll out safely inside a real growth team. So let's start with one mode, shadow. So what shadow does is it generates suggestions, but it requires review. Uh, it requires human review. So let's go ahead and generate the autopilot flow. So here's the key. This isn't just a single prompt or a single AI, it's a multi-agent pipeline, each AI agent working on their own individual dedicated task. So first, it parses the event log and reconstructs the user journeys. And next, then the cohort detective agent comes into action. It identifies the high impact drop-off cohort and summarize why it matters. Next, the flow architect designs a three-touch sequence: email, SMS, then in-app with timing and trigger logic. Then the copywriter generates three variants per channel. Then the evaluator agent runs healthcare aware QA, checking clarity, spam risk, tone, and safety, and it generates copy if the score is below threshold. And the explain layer turns the reasoning into plain language for non-technical stakeholders. So let's look at each of the outputs individually. So on the detect tab, we can see the cohort size, the drop off rate, plus the rational. So this is what normally takes a product manager time in spreadsheets. So in the logs that we uploaded, there are 299 users and the drop-off rate is 11%, and it indicates potential area for improvement in user engagement and workflow efficiency, and it also tends to show the urgency rate. So in the build flow, we see the trigger condition and the full sequence. This is structured. It's not just text, which means it can be exported downstream. So going to the next tab, here are the message cards. Each channel has three variants, and the QA gate gives a score and flags. This is the guardrail that makes it usable in healthcare context. To put it in simpler terms, so there is a threshold score, and the QA gate will check each variant for that score. And if the score goes below the threshold score, it will be flagged and it will be regenerated, acting as a guardrail for safety and especially in the healthcare context. So now to the most important part, the 10x claim. So let's visualize and compare what difference does it make from a manual lifecycle creation. How does this autopilot differ? So to put things into perspective, first, so manual lifecycle creation typically looks like, in the best case scenario, 45 minutes to find the cohort, 90 minutes to design the flow, 120 minutes to write variants, and 30 minutes for review. That's about 4.75 hours per flow. This is the best case scenario for manual lifecycle creation. But with autopilot, upload roughly takes 30 seconds, generation is about a minute, and review is about 10 minutes. And 10 minutes for review is a worst case scenario, and it roughly takes around 11.5 minutes for per flow, and we can see how much of a difference does it make from the manual flow. So to put it in context and do the math, so 285 minutes divided by 11.5 minutes, that's roughly 24.7 times faster than the manual workflow. And to put it in throughput terms, that's 3 flows per week and to about 30 flows per week. So we can see how much it uh, helps the growth team to function. And I wanted adoption to be built in into the website, so I designed it with three modes. So in the early weeks, let's say for week one, we can use shadow mode where the AI proposes, the human approves, and gradually trust is built. And second, in the next upcoming weeks, it can be used in assisted mode. It pre-fills deploy templates, suggests holdout groups, and still requires approval. After gaining confidence, after a month or so, it can be used in auto mode where AI outputs API-ready payload, selects the best variants, and adds sunset tools with human spots checking weekly. So this avoids resistance because it doesn't replace a manager's judgment. It just helps them scale it. And finally, coming to the last mile problem, exporting. So when we click export, the all the payload gets exported into the export folder, and this is what a typical export looks like. So this writes a deploy ready JSON artifact and a job specific export file. So if this tool disappeared tomorrow, the team loses not just copy generation, they lose the full workflow from detection, flow design, QA, and to deploy ready outputs. So to summarize, this is a working prototype. It's quantifiably 10x plus. It has a clear demo path and adoption is designed into the product. So to reiterate, if this disappeared tomorrow, the growth team would definitely feel the loss in velocity and safety. Thank you so much for this opportunity.